the live. I just need to decompress because all this ish. Meditate, meditate, meditate. I need to put a background. I'm trying to go live more often, y'all. Y'all. Let's put on one of my interview pictures. Hello, hello. I put you as a guest, but just mute it so you can do your thing, so we could get points. I'm proud of myself, guys. My healing journey has been a roller coaster. And you know, me and my friend, like, she's on here, her name is Liberating Love, and we have a very, very similar path right now. And I remember because I did a podcast with her, and I remember after the podcast, I was telling my husband, like, oh my gosh, hey, Jasmine. My sister's name is also Jasmine, but yours has an E at the end. What's up, girl? I'm just talking about my healing journey. And well, after the podcast, I remember telling my husband, like, I find her so attractive. Like, her energy is just so attractive. I'm going to keep it professional, though, because, like, I don't want to do all that because I'm healing, you know what I mean? I'm healing, we're healing. And I say we're because, like, she's also going through the similar things. I want to say the same. Similar things I'm going through, right? And it's just been such a beautiful experience connecting with people who have similar, paths as you. And I think that's why we find people attractive, because we're just supposed to be aligned with them in that moment. And it doesn't always mean, hey, baby boy. It doesn't always mean, come downstairs and help me clean. It doesn't always mean that we need to be with them romantically, because I've realized a lot of the times that could mess up a connection, because with romance or with the title, we tend to become possessive and we want a person like a freaking cookie cutter. And yeah, well, anyways, that's not my point. My point is that she also talks about healing and stuff, and like with trauma bonds, with the soul tie, things that you can't really understand, but it's there, and you have years and years of connections with these people, and it's very irritating because you don't want to be connected with these people, but in some way, shape, or form, we have to be because it's a part of our path, right? And it doesn't make any sense at all. But it's a roller coaster, right? That was my point. It's a roller coaster. And with that roller coaster, I have more highs than lows. And it's beautiful. And I'm so happy to be, even though it's chaotic. And this person wants me to be low like I was before. And I used to be so low, and I would allow this person to just keep me low because I wanted them to have a better life, and I wanted them to heal, and I wanted them to be happy, right? So I lost sight of myself completely, and I was even losing sight of my goals as a mom. But the thing I did keep up with was conscious parenting, because I knew at the end of the day, I knew that I didn't want my kids to end up like that. And like that, I mean, as in someone who is now an adult, but still acts like a child because they weren't brought up the correct way. So I am responsible for bringing my children up the correct way. So I kept that in the back of my mind, even though I was still losing sight of self, right? To the point that, I had to set boundaries. And that's when the relationship ended, is when I did put them first. Even before my husband, I put them first because I was losing sight of the main goal. You know what I mean? And that's why I also don't go with like what religion says about it's God, the husband, and then the children, because the children come first, right? Yes, we have to care for ourselves, but the children are these vessels, these delicate vessels that we have to take care of. At the end of the day, an adult is an adult. If they want to F up, if they want to not act like an adult, then they can go and get their karma. They can go on their own path. At the end of the day, we have to be the protectors, right? Because that's why we birthed them. And so that's what I did. And then I realized that my husband was my part of my path. Hold on. How you know I'm gone? How you know I'm gone? Sorry, my baby woke up. Okay, so let me read your guys' stuff while I am feeding her. I'll mute myself for a little bit. Okay, I can unmute myself because I got her latched on. But in this lifetime, who we mate with is the person we was mated with in the past. Around either you get it right or no. I feel like as parents in our relationship, while we have them, young children aren't the priority. Yeah, like when they're little, it's literally our instinct. Like we lose sight of self, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, yeah, as they grow, we find that balance. But when they're little, we have to put them first. We need to have moments for ourselves, but the day-to-day we need to sacrifice for our family. Yeah. And it's just like sometimes I feel like if a relationship, a romantic relationship, friendship, whatever, makes you lose sight of that, that's where it's not healthy. Like the first red flag ever. But obviously you don't know that until you go through it. And I just like keep reminding myself to give myself grace because I still was very young. And I learned a lot from just that one experience. We have to both be grown enough to realize it. Yeah. Like, obviously, like, you can mature early, but our brains, no matter what, still don't click early. Because I always say, I'm more mature than my age. I always felt like I was 30 since I was 15, and I'm finally 30 now. But in the end of the day, our brains and science does not develop until we're 25. And when I was in that relationship, I think I had just turned 25. Did I? No, I had just turned 24. Yeah, I had just turned 24. So those few years when I was in that relationship, I was uncovering a lot. And I remember that was when I had the most deepest realizations of self. And then so going through that at the same time was so confusing because I'm like, how is it good, but then it's not? Like it didn't make sense to me. And in my neurodivergent brain, I had to learn because I've realized that it's a neurodivergent thing to want closure all the time and to want an understanding and to want an explanation for everything. And it's hard to accept that sometimes there is no explanation, at least no logical explanation. And that's something that I have realized that why this connection is still lingering with me. And why this connection, it's hard for me to get away from this connection, besides the connection that we have that we're never going to ever be able to get away from. Saying that without saying too much, right? So I have realized I'm addicted to finding an explanation, having an answer, having all the answers. And that's the type of neurodivergent that I am. I like having an answer for everything. And if I don't, I will find the answer. And so I'm addicted on finding the answer. And with this connection, I cannot find an answer. And I keep chasing that, right? I keep chasing the explanation. I keep chasing the why. I keep wondering why this person thinks the way they do, why this person does what they do, and I'm always questioning. When certain interactions happen, it could be anything. Why do you work the way you do? Why do you say the things that you do? Why do you not think this certain way? Why do you look at people like that? Why do you think people are looking at you like that? Why everything? Because it never ends up getting answered. It never does. And so it's been about 5 years with this connection because I still have not found the answers. Oh yes, I'm doing good. Thank you, Jen. So sweet, so sweet. I still have not found the answers. And I'm realizing that it really just sucked for my brain to be wired this way because it's very emotionally exhausting to keep always wanting answers. So yeah, that's why I want to decompress right now, because it helps me. It helps me to clean, it helps me to declutter, and it helps me, if I physically see it, then I can kind of breathe a little bit in my head. Double tap, 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 guys. Like. Oh my gosh, a 4.8. Thanks, guys, for me not even asking. Oh, you're my baby. She like, shut up, Mom. Be quiet, Mom. But I'm proud of myself because the more I keep going through these roller coasters and the more that I emotionally calm my nervous system, yes, and the more I release the energy and I accept my feelings, because that has been a really hard thing for me. And for a long time, I was not accepting it, and I would just turn to anger because I was just so mad I had these feelings, And then I started to accept them, and I'm like, I will always, always care for this person. And it might change. It might change in the way that I care for this person, because it has already, now that I'm thinking about it. But I forgot my point because I thought I heard something. I will always care for this person. The phases will change. The way that I care for this person will change. And I think it's because I just had the realization that it's changed, and I'm just so proud of myself, right? But I had to let myself feel and allow it and feel in the moment, because I have hung on, and I never keep grudges. I have hung on to this anger because I always forgive, and then I end up forgetting. And I'm like, oh yeah, they did F me up, huh? So I have realized that I felt like I needed to be angry to protect myself, because if I forget, then I'm gonna allow it. I know myself. I'm gonna allow it, because I'm gonna be like, oh my gosh, they don't mean it like that. They're not manipulating me. They're just being nice. They're not love bombing me. They just finally realized what they're doing to me. And that's how it was on the reconnecting. And I was like, but I had in the back of my mind this time, because I've been through it, and I did hold on to that anger, which that anger was actually very healing, because I didn't let it happen, right? Hello. Hey, Carly. My brain works the same way, but sometimes it does more than right? And so I forgot what I was saying. Yeah, so the anger actually helped me. And so I did protect myself, but it was a long time that I was angry because I just didn't want to feel. But I was also allowing myself feel. And it's a feeling that I never really let myself feel, which is anger. I let myself feel that anger and I cried and I would just yell in my pillow and I would let it out and I felt so good because I've never done that. I always just felt like I couldn't be angry. I had to be a nice person. I needed to crash out. And I just thought of that because Liberating Love, she says that she's like, sometimes crashing out is healthy because we're releasing and we need those crash out moments. So now it's allowed me to be able to be less triggered by those reoccurring occasions. I actually got diagnosed with PTSD from narcissistic abuse, and I was in denial for a long time, and then I started to accept it, and then I started to go back in my memories and realize the moments that happened, but I realized them when I was triggered, because other than that, I did not know it was happening. And then when I was triggered from other people, movies, and other people, not towards me, but like other people like that I would see like out and about, right? When I'd go to my shows, being around people who were drunk, even if they weren't like super drunk, it would get to me. And I remember crying one time and my friends didn't even know because I hid it. And they fell asleep because we were on a long drive back home. And it wasn't them. It wasn't about them. It was about my own triggers. And that's what really allowed me to notice this. And so now the roller coaster is not as low. I have more highs than I do lows. And I'm pretty proud of myself. And I've learned how to communicate better without staying in such a triggered emotion. Because sometimes I forget that I still have triggers. Like I was just triggered not so long ago. And I was like, whoa. And since then, I've been kind of uneasy. It was this weekend. I've been kind of uneasy. But the way I communicated is like, wow, because before I used to always think I had to give long explanations so this person wouldn't be mad at me. And now, today, they were trying to use that against me. They were trying to use their anger against me because they knew it used to work. And I just told that person, thank you. I just told this person, not just, but I told them a few weeks ago, I was like, you being angry with me does not get me anymore. And they're like, oh my gosh, like, because we were just having a conversation. Oh my gosh, I don't want you to be scared of me. Like, I don't want you to feel like that. I'm like, I know, I'm just telling you. It does not get me the way that it used to. I used to be scared of you getting mad at me. Now I don't freaking care. Go be mad. And you know how liberating that freaking feels? Because the other person's anger, in general, like I'm a person, which actually not anymore. I can't even say that truthfully out loud. I used to seek a lot of validation, right? But in a quiet, more subtle way. Hence why I'm a content creator. Okay, so I used to seek a lot of validation. And hey, keep tapping the screen. Tap, 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 tap. And that's what allowed me, I think that's what brought me to that relationship, right? Because I had to break those barriers. I had to see it in front of my face to stop seeking validation from others, because validation is within me. That's beautiful right there. Validation is within me. And I remember being in that relationship, and I think I've told my sister about this. I remember being in that relationship and feeling so low. I would cry in front of my mirror and telling myself, if my mom heard the thoughts that I'm having in my head, she would be so sad. And I looked at myself, and that's when I started changing how I talk to myself in the mirror. Because I'm like, my mom would be so sad. No. My mom thinks me and her daughters are the most beautiful children. Hey! She thinks we're the most beautiful people. And I think of my kids like that. So I reflected on that. I was like, if my children were to think of myself the way that I'm thinking of myself, just because of how somebody is making me feel, And I started affirming to myself, you are beautiful. You are majestic. You are everything and a freaking bag of chips, right? I didn't say that, but I went down a list and I was reminding myself of who the freak I am. And not even looks wise, please, because all this carne is of the earth, okay? And the earth is beautiful, don't get me wrong. But all this human experience is not really who I am. And that's why I feel like I've always felt detached from my human self and my human being, because I've always been so much more confident in my personality, in my soul, and my spirit. Thank you. You're so freaking sweet. And I started telling myself all the things I wanted her to tell me, right? And my husband's always been so amazing at complimenting me. Actually, this morning, I was on live earlier, and my husband's literally texting me like, babe, you're so beautiful, da 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 da, right? And I'm just like, bro, stop. Like, I was literally blushing. And he's always just been so good at that. So I didn't think I seeked it, because he always did it, right? And then that relationship really made me realize that I do. And then, so yeah, I started telling myself all the things. And now, guys, like, I feel so beautiful inside and out, because I have just been looking at myself in the mirror and being like, damn, this human vessel that I was put in is not too shabby. When I look at myself like this, and I was saying earlier, I'm like, okay, this is a filter, so I barely look the same. But at the same time, I always look at myself, and instead of telling myself like, oh, I should have plucked my eyebrows, or oh, you know how we can be as women, right? Oh, like, I have too much, like, I have my bump here. I started loving my bump because my daughter thinks it's beautiful. And I'm like, but this bump, that's me. I used to contour it, but now I'm like, that's me. It's beautiful because that's me. And I'm beautiful within. And so whatever's attached to me is beautiful. And that's how we have to start thinking. And it's like, I don't seek validation the way I used to. Your sex drive is different. Your eggs drive, I think that's the better way to say it, is so different. Your libido is different, not just from just having a baby, but the way that you think of yourself makes you channel your energy so much more different, and such in a healthier way. Yeah, it's just, I just keep reminding myself, like, when I'm triggered, of how far I have come, instead of thinking about the past, and just think of the present and being like, oh, damn, I've come a long way. I've come a long way, and it's been such a good lesson to be learned, and I will never go back there. I will never be her again. I will never be her. And I remember too, so this connection, when we did like reconnect, I wouldn't even say in like a romantic way, just started talking more about life and stuff. I remember telling her that, oh, she would be like, oh my gosh, I miss her. And I'm like, I bet you do, but I will never be her. And she would look at me like, damn. And I'm like, it's true. I will never be her. And I remember she would just look at me like if I think of it too deep. And I was offended, because I'm like, yeah, of course you miss her. Of course you do. Oh my gosh. Things just fall into place in the right time, because when I met that connection, I was already maybe like a year or two into my higher self journey. It's when I broke free from religion and started deconstructing and looking more within. And since I did that, I feel closer to the higher power than I ever have before. And the higher power is the highest self, and in good frequencies and good vibrations. Hello, Mom. I'm just here talking about my spiritual journey, my healing journey. And a healing journey is a constant roller coaster. And another thing that I learned too is we will keep repeating the same cycles until we break them. Ooh, that hit me because, wow, that's so freaking true. Until we break the cycle, we will keep on repeating them. Until we learn the lesson, we will keep on repeating them, whether that's in people, in connections. We will keep having the same experience in different people because we have not yet learned from it. We haven't learned. We haven't broke that cycle. We haven't changed our habits. That's something I just learned right now. It's like most of the time it's habitual. Most of the time it's because that's what we're used to growing up, and that's what we saw as love, and that's what we saw as care, right? And it's not always our parents' fault because what? That's what they saw as love. That's what they saw as care. So that you can only repeat what you know until you start learning beyond that, right? And so breaking those habits of seeking validation, breaking those habits of filling the void, breaking those habits of being okay with being alone. I was always with my sisters and my mom. Shoot, they were always bothering me. So when people don't bother me, I start chasing. And it's ridiculous. Not anymore, actually. I can't say that true because I'm healing and I'm breaking those cycles. But my nervous system wants to chase that. And what? Chase the explanation. Chase it. Because mom, like I was saying, is like in my neurodivergent brain, I always want an explanation to everything. And when I don't, I will chase the explanation. It's not even the person at this point. It's not even the person. It's the explanation. And you happen to be a person behind those explanations. And I need answers. And I need freaking answers. Damn, this is such a good live. It's deep. But hey, what a better time to go live, right? Aw, mom. Oh, you got off on accident. Tengo sed. Let me go put the baby to sleep. Okay, guys. I'll be right back.